Сестро красива, ой, ти сильна, хоробра, єдина корона твоя. Сестро красива, ой, ти сильна, хоробра, єдина корона твоя. Сестро красива, ой, ти сильна, хоробра, єдина корона твоя.
Стефанія, мамо, мамо, Стефанія, розквітає поле, а вона сивіє. Заспівай мені, мамо, колискову, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово. Вона мене колесала, дала мені ритм і напевне силу волі не забрати мене, бо дала вона, напевне знала, може більше і від Соломона. Ломаними дорогами прийду я завжди до тебе, вона не розбудить, не будить мене в сильній бурі, забере бабулі звідулі, ніби вони кулі. Дуже добре знала мене, не була обманута, як було дуже втомлена, гойдала мене в так. Стефанія, мамо, мамо, Стефанія, розквітає поле, а вона сивіє. Заспівай мені, мамо, колискову, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово. Я не пилина, хто мене мах хватить. Якби я не виріс, та виріс, а речу платить. Я не мала дитина, вона далі нерви тратить. Я гуляв, шлях би тебе трафив. Ти все молода, а мамо, не тебе мені в тупіку, запихайте піку, цю піку, тебе попік своєю любов'ю. Стефанія, мамо, мамо, Стефанія, розквітає поле, а вона сивіє. Заспівай мені, мамо, колискову, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово. Стефанія, мамо, мамо, Стефанія, розквітає поле, а вона сивіє. Заспівай мені, мамо, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово.
I wanna scream and shout. My heart caught in chains, cold heart, cold hands, fire in my veins, fire in my veins, heart in chains. I'm a volcano that is. Cross my heart until the sky turns red at the sunrise. Since you told me everything's alright. Since you told me everything's alright. Promise me it's gonna be There's a ghost in my eyes. There's a ghost in my body.
Стефанія, мамо, мамо, Стефанія, розквітає поле, а вона сивіє. Заспівай мені, мамо, колискову, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово. Вона мене колесала, дала мені ритм і напевне силу волі не забрати мене, бо дала вона напевне знала, може більше і від Соломона. Ломаними дорогами прийду я завжди до тебе, вона не розбудить, не будить мене в сильній бурі, забере бабулі звідулі, ніби вони кулі. Дуже добре знала мене, не була обманута, як було дуже втомлена, гойдала мене в так. Стефанія, мамо, мамо, Стефанія, розквітає поле, а вона сивіє. Заспівай мені, мамо, колискову, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово. двері за речі платить. Я не мала дитина, вона далі нерви тратить. Я гуляв, шлях би тебе трафив. Ти все молода, а мама на піку. Якщо не ціню опіку, на піку, слава мені в тупіку. Запивайте піку, цю піку, я пепа пік. Своєю любов'ю.
Hello, this is your 3-minute warning. We're going to get started in 3 minutes. Next time you see me on stage, we'll be kicking things off. So get yourselves a drink, get settled down, and we'll be starting soon.
Заспівай мені, мамо, колискову, хочу ще почути твоє рідне слово. Вона мене колесала, дала мені ритм і напевне силу волі не забрати мене, бо дала вона напевне знала, може більше і від Соломона. Ломаними дорогами прийду я завжди до тебе, вона не розбудить, не будить мене в сильній бурі, забере бабулі звідулі, ніби вони кулі. Дуже добре знала мене, не була обманута, як було дуже втомлена, гойдала мене так. За речі платить, я не мала дитина, вона далі нерви тратить, я гуляв, шлях би тебе трафив, ти все молода, а мама на піку, якщо не ціню опіку, на піку, слава мені в тупіку, запивайте піку, цю піку, я пепа пік, своєю любов'ю. Мамо, хочу ще почути твоє рідне. Вона мене колесала, дала мені ритм і напевне силу волі не забрати мене, бо дала вона напевне знала, може більше і від сола. Вона ломаними дорогами прийду, я завжди до тебе. Вона не розбудить, не будить мене в сильній бурі, забере бабулі, звідулі, ніби вони кулі. Дуже добре знала мене, не була обманута, як було дуже втомлена, гойдала мене так.
Hello, everybody. And welcome to the... I forgot to check with Neil what number Ignite we're on to now, but 47. Excellent. Even when Neil's not at the back, I can still get directions from there. It's superb. So yeah, 47th Ignite, and our first, unless I'm very much mistaken, EuroVersion special. Woo! So I've worn my European-themed cufflinks as a nod, because Neil wanted us all to be kind of glamorous. So that's about as glamorous as I get. So yeah, if you've not been to Ignite before, then welcome. If you have been to Ignite before, also welcome. And the way that things run, we've got, I don't know how many speakers, but quite a few, 10 speakers. It's like it's got prompts and stuff. It's awesome. We've got 10 speakers, and each of them will be giving a talk. Each talk will have 20 slides. Each slide will be shown for 15 seconds. So each talk will last for 5 minutes, whether they like it or not. And so we'll have 5 talks in the first half. Crazy, I know. And then we'll have an interval, so you can get a drink, chat about the talks you've just seen. At the start of the second half, we will have 1-minute pitches. So if you've got an event or a project that you think some wonderful people such as yourselves would like to hear about, come and find me during the interval. And then at the start of the second half, we'll get a bunch of people up on stage quickly for 1-minute pitches, just to kind of advertise those other awesome things going on in the city and beyond. And then we'll get into the second half, and we'll have another 5 talks, and then it will be over. And in a break, because this is the EuroVersion special, Neil's been just getting super excited and planning all sorts of additional things. And so apparently, we are starting the whole event with karaoke. So we are going to be singing the winning entry from last year. And I think you all have song sheets. And for that, in another break with tradition, usually Neil is doing all the hard, like in between Ignites, Neil does all the hard work, and I just turn up on the day and take all the glory. But tonight, I'm going to share some of it with him because he's looking so glamorous that we don't want to just have him hiding at the back. So if you can welcome to the stage my glamorous assistant, Neil. And
I'm just going to see. Oh, yeah, this one's working as well.
but I thought you wanted this.
No, I think it might be good if Adrian and I occasionally do karaoke and we sing opposite each other. We sing really well. This one tonight.
Not this song, we don't.
Yeah, this one tonight is going to be a little bit of a challenge.
But you're all going to join in and help us, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good.
Because Neil may have been rehearsing, but I knew about this about an hour ago.
Neil has not been rehearsing. No, we've got the karaoke version. You've got song lyrics. This is really tough to do. We're going to give it a go. It's going to be a little bit of a laugh, but we're going to give it a go. Come on, Adrian, over this side. Come on.
Sorry, what? Are we not either side and
well, we could
gazing across the stage?
We'll do that. I'm not sure it's going to work. But
No, me neither. But
so, yeah, hit it.
it wouldn't be the first time that we tried something at night and it didn't work.
Yeah. This may be the last time we ever do this. You'll need to click the thing down the bottom. Okay, here we go. So this is the karaoke version.
Wow.
You got lyrics. Wait for the music. You've heard it enough. Stefania, mamo, Stefania, Rosa, Victoria, Pole, Avona, Sia, Zapaiva, Yawa.
If Ignite is ever normal, we can welcome our first speaker up to the stage. And Liam Brierley is going to be, you see, normally I would be paying more attention to the running order and not worrying about karaoke. But yes, Liam Briley is coming on stage to tell us about data and EuroVersion, I think. So welcome to stage, Liam.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I'm a research fellow at the University of Liverpool. I'm also a media ambassador for the Royal Statistical Society. Shall I give you a moment to bring that back up? There we go, yes. So as I say, I'm a media ambassador for the Royal Statistical Society. People think this means what I do is a ton of maths, and it's not. I do a little bit of maths, but I primarily use data to find out stuff about the world around us. And EuroVersion generates loads of data every year. So what can we learn from it? Well, let's ask what factors help us win this trophy. Now, to do that, we've got to take account of the stuff that's out of our control, like who tends to vote for who. But when we do, a winning formula emerges. So pop, ballad, and dance electronic kind of songs, on average, score more than other types of music. So the bars here are the medians, and those songs are what we want, but that's probably most songs in Eurovision, so we need something to stand out. What about comedy? Well, comedy acts like Scooch and Dustin the Turkey statistically get worse scores, probably because humour is quite difficult to translate. Much better to introduce ambient elements like fire, fancy lighting, smoke, something everyone can enjoy. And just by including these, that pushes you 2 places up the leaderboard on average. Now, another important effect is traditional elements showing your country's culture. So that might be instruments, dances, activities, or traditional costume like Neil's wearing. That is, on average, going to push you 3 places further up the leaderboard. But the most important factor is the power of solo singers. So they are 15% more likely to score points than duets or groups, and that even extends to being better off without backing singers. So you want one of these kind of performers who can shine entirely on their own. Now, these aren't rules, these are general trends. After all, we did see the exact opposite of this winning formula in 2021 when Italy won with Måneskin and Zitti Buoni. And you know, Eurovision is nothing if not unpredictable. So I'm going to talk about lyrics. Now, the easiest way of looking at lyrics is by looking at most common words. And we can see that love and life have always been really common themes, mostly amour for the first 40 years, reflecting French-speaking countries starting Eurovision, but also rules that you had to sing in your national language. Researchers have also applied compressibility algorithms to see how repetitive Eurovision songs are. They are getting more repetitive, and even though I've got an example from Austria here, the UK is some of the most repetitive lyrics overall. So we know what the lyrics are, but what do they mean? Well, we can use mathematical language analysis called sentiment analysis to determine whether content is positive with a 1 or negative with a negative 1. And when we break up the lyrics, feed them into sentiment analysis, and calculate an average for each song, we can see Hatari with Hatred mun sigra comes out at a score of negative 0.1, so that translates to hatred will prevail. Laureen's Euphoria comes out at a score of 0.2. But when we look at sentiment overall, so these middle points are our best estimate of the sentiment, the lines show uncertainty, but we are quite certain there's been a distinct shift toward negativity post-2020. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean modern songs are downers. Maybe they're bolder, more likely to sing about big topics like oppression, discrimination, like Måneskin's Zitti Buoni, shut up and behave. You know, they're not cheery words, but it's a song about empowerment. And I just want to touch on voting last. So as a reminder, the voting system, the public give a 1 to 8, a 10 and a 12. So do the juries for each country with no voting for your own country. But this leads to an interesting effect, because when you call to vote, you probably only call once, maybe 2, 3 times. But each country's 5 jurors have to rank every song most favourite to least favourite. So if you imagine a song that's like Vanilla Ice Cream, you know, it's okay, everyone likes it a little bit, you probably wouldn't say it's your favourite. That kind of song is going to get nothing from the public vote, but a middling score from the jury vote, maybe explaining why when the jury votes come in, you think, that's not what I thought at all. And when we look at the scores from the last 6 years, we can see there's a lot going on here, but basically the further from the diagonal, the more disagreement between public and jury, and you notice the winners in yellow are almost always above that line, so they're stronger in the public than the jury vote. And in fact, there's only a couple of winners that haven't been anyone's favorite, like Jamala for Ukraine. But generally, the public top song is the winner, whether the jury agree, as for Salvador Sobral, or disagree, as for Måneskin's Ziti Ibuoni. Now, I did warn you, I'm an academic, and so very little of this work was actually done by me. These analyses come from Alan Wise, Andrew Gastar, Alessandro Nai, and Anna Alyanaki. So huge thanks to them, and thank you for having me.
You gotta speed it up, and then you gotta slow it down. 'Cause if you believe that a love can hit the top, you gotta play around. But soon you will find that there comes a time for making your mind up. You gotta turn it.
Thank you very much for that, Liam. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm very glad that Neil didn't get the idea that we should all be giving points for every single talk. Well, we can be thankful that he didn't enact his ideas about giving points for all the talks. Right, so now we can welcome our second speaker to the stage. And Susan Martin is going to be telling us why men are wonderful.
I am brave. Men are wonderful. Now, why should we think that? And do we think that? My background, amongst other things, is in human evolutionary biology. And it leads me to think some rather strange things about men sometimes. Hands up, all those who agree with this premise. Oh, good. I'm glad to see there's a few at the back. Yes. Evolutionary biology looks at behaviors of our nearest relatives. This is Cleo, who died relatively recently. She'd been at Chester Zoo for a very long time. She looks like a bit of a teddy that had its eyes pulled out and its hair pulled off, but she was very much in charge of her group, in charge of her alphas. This is the alpha male that was there. He was 15, but how long is he going to be there? Because being an alpha takes an awful lot of energy. It might be fun, but it takes an awful lot of energy. So we're not sure. So how is it different with men and women? I mean, obviously it is different, but women's roles don't change biologically as much as men's roles do. And this is the thing that makes me think that perhaps men are wonderful. Now, Barbara Cartland, who probably none of you are old enough to remember, Barbara Cartland wrote this book. But her premise was that men are very wonderful, and as women, we should be waiting as they come in from work with our makeup on and our hair ready and what have you. But with men, again, it's games these days rather than, but these were comics. Some of you may remember them. So here's your man with his chariot and his panther and his superhero looks. And then we have Bunty with the shopping and the ballet. And, 8 laptop computers to be won. We're obviously moving on a little bit there. So men and women are still given this sort of myth that the men are the beating the chest chimps. And the women are the carers. And basically, the female chimps do maintain this role throughout life. Even if they don't have children of their own, they are caring for the group. And so the role doesn't change. Now, male chimps, you're knackered once you've got a son. Because basically, your son is thinking, he's top of the tree. Let's get rid of him, because I can only be top of the tree if we've got rid of him. So it's much more complicated. I think society does make it harder. Well, we are society, so it's we who make it harder for males to have more than one role. Because you only have one in the animal world, but in the human world. So do we encourage men to be aggressive to remain alpha, but then punish them when they do? I see a lot of this in some of the work I do in courts, because you want the he-man, because he's got good genes and he'll pass them on to your child. But then as a parent, it's complicated. Wait till your father gets home and finds out what you've done. He'll sort you out. That is still said. That is still said in all sorts. I know we have more complicated roles, but we still live in a patriarchal society. So how do we reconcile a strong protector with an empathic partner? And often we don't. This is part of the problem. So we've got this man who's, in forensic settings, there's a lot of problems. If you go into child custody cases, a man who's ranting and raving is considered horrendous and can't possibly look after the kids, whereas, you know, the woman's sitting there saying, oh, he's awful, you know, and what have you. So it's and I just like this one. I just thought this was an absolutely wonderful slide, so I couldn't resist putting it in. Poor dog. Should be a little poodle or something like that. But it's, you know, it's, in some ways, and this is slightly tongue-in-cheek because this is the result of a PhD years and years ago, women always maintain some level of caring role. And so they don't have to change a lot of their behaviours unless they choose to. But if you're a male chimp, you could be dead in a ditch before you're 20, especially if you have more than one son, because that's really, really problematic. So if men want to maintain roles beyond being dead in the ditch, and who manage to change that role, are they wonderful? I mean, is managing to change a role to be both a protector and empathic? So are men who do manage to change their roles wonderful? And I think, and with all this to put up with, are women more wonderful too? And there's not an answer to this. It's a question more than anything. So I hope you've all got answers.
Will you promise that you'll say your kisses for me? Save all your kisses for me. Bye-bye, baby, bye-bye. Don't cry, honey, don't cry. Gonna walk out the door, but I'll soon be back for more kisses for me.
Thank you very much for that, Susan. I'm not going to have a vote as to whether you think I'm wonderful or not. That's, you know, obviously I know that you all think that. On with the next speaker. And so if we can welcome Billy Joe Gibson to the stage. And they are going to talk about how we're all mad down here.
Hello, my name is Billy. This is my presentation on why we are all mad down here. I am non-binary, autistic, ADHD, and I also have complex PTSD from years of childhood abuse. So, what is neurodiversity? Neurodiversity is a term to coin several neurodevelopmental conditions which are lifelong, including but not exclusive to autism spectrum condition, ADHD, Tourette's, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, mental health problems, OCD, what is the problem? So, the problem is that neurodivergent people are having mental breakdowns at an alarming rate, and people don't seem to understand why. But the problem is caused by unsuspected neurotypicals. A small number of unsuspected neurotypicals are actually causing more harm than good, and they're not realising, which is in turn making neurodivergent people break down. So as you can see on this graph, when the neurodivergent person has got factors such as society, genes, home life, and ACEs, they tend to have mental breakdowns, which can have all of these experiences. And when they speak up to a professional about it in the NHS and he goes, "You're not mentally ill," it can lead to them feeling trapped, confused, and like they're the problem. So, trauma. According to the dictionary, trauma is a severe and lasting emotional shock and pain caused by an extremely upsetting experience or a case of such shock happening, which causes Emotional damage. I didn't want to do it like that, but I had to include this meme. But which then causes triggers in the body's nervous system, which gets the fight, flight, freeze, flop, and fawn response, which we'll talk about in a second when the next slide comes on. So the fight response causes you to protest or to literally attack your attacker, can also cause you to struggle. Sorry. The flight response is hiding or moving away like you've been told to get the fuck out, so you leg it like you're in a busy pursuit. yeah, I'm liking it from this talk, mate, I'm done. Nah, just messing with you. The freeze position is feeling paralysed, like you can't move, like you're literally under arrest, and you go, freeze! Put your hands up! Busies! We're arresting you! The flop position is doing what you're told without protest and giving in against the wishes of your own brain. So you're literally just lying there like, oh, I'm just putting up with this, me. And then the fawn position is trying to please a person who harms you. It's very dangerous and only gets you emotionally hurt in the long run. So just don't please someone who wants to harm you. Just say, no, I've had enough, and just walk off. Because honestly, it's mentally damaging. So you got to think about the problem and what you can do to come up with a solution to the problem. And believe it or not, it is alarmingly simple what the glaringly obvious solution is. The solution to the problem is to listen to neurodivergent people. You know, be empathetic, not just sympathetic. Say, I hear you, followed up with a story or other thing that relates to the neurodivergent person or their mental health issue. Also, reach out. Reach out and help. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you know someone who's going through mental health problems, offer support however you can. Ask someone out the are. You know, some mental illnesses are invisible, so you won't be able to say. Key takeaways 1. So I'll be quick because Sue's coming up soon. Neurodivergents aren't believed by society. Psychs reject us. It's harder to treat due to neurodivergent comorbidity. Some neurodivergents are locked up in the loony bin for no good reason because NHS say, screw it, we'll lock you up in the loony bin. Also, oh, sugar. Yeah, thank you. I completely blacked that one, didn't I?
Free to spread your wings and fly. Tell them, raise your voice and say it loudly. Show them what it means to stand up proudly. Tell them, this is me and thanks to you I'm proud.
Thank you very much for that, Belly. Boss slides. I like those. Our next speaker is somebody who's spoken before at Ignite. And if you welcome to the stage Charlotte Cork, who's been telling us about design thinking.
That looks good. Yeah. Oh, thank you. God, how do I follow that? That was amazing. Right, so I'm going to talk today about design thinking, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, what the heck has that got to do with me, my business, my organization? But I'm hoping by the end of this 5 minutes, you will have a better idea, because I think it's a fantastically useful thing. Basically, design... Oh, they're very expanded, these slides, aren't they? Anyway, it's about helping you solve knotty problems. It's about getting you to unlock the creative problem solving and innovation that you have within your team and your organization. You all have that ability in you, but a lot of people say, well, I'm not creative, I can't do these things. And design thinking can help you do it. some obvious applications of design thinking, really the most obvious one is if you're trying to tackle new markets, develop new products or services. Clearly you need to design a solution for those. But then there's also other things like inefficient or frustrating processes in your business as usual. That's also an area that can really benefit from design thinking. So you don't just get kind of stuck in the rut and put up with things that are not working within your workplace. And then another one, which is particularly good for digital platforms and apps, but actually any service organization, is if you've got poor user or customer retention or engagement. Again, that is somewhere, a field where design thinking can really help unlock what the issues are. So first of all, what design thinking isn't. It isn't someone sitting on their own coming up with eureka moments. It's not a divine intervention. Or it's not about pretty pictures and just bolting something on to make it look nice. Design thinking is about a human-centered process. So it's all about making you focus on who the people are who are engaged in this product or service and making sure you understand what they need, what they value. So it helps you to reframe problems so that you really understand the problem space and what the issues are. It helps you overcome your biases. We all have them, and design thinking is a process to help you understand, overcome those. So yeah, understanding the problem from all angles, that's a key part of design thinking. Actually inviting and taking heed of what your users or your customers or your fellow teammates have, what their pain points are. It's all about not coming up with solutions in isolation. So not just thinking, yeah, an idea is just going to pop into my head, but looking at existing solutions to similar or different problems. And also just not going with the first thing that pops into your head. So, actually trying out multiple things, testing them out, prototyping, engaging in a process that will allow you to develop your ideas and try things out. It sounds messy, yeah, it is, but humans are messy, then we're not predictable things. What it will do is give you results which are unexpected, engaging, effective, and hopefully delightful. And that's really what you want in any innovation for it to be successful. So I've done lots of different ways. I've used design thinking in lots of different examples. This was a big company, that multi-site, and I workshopped with the teams within the company to find out how to improve their internal communications and come up with a roadmap. With another example, I was working with a startup that had real problems with their supply chain and they wanted to manage that better. And so we unpicked the user journeys and figured out how to improve that experience. Another one was another startup I worked with. He was developing a whole new platform for occupational health. And we spent loads of time talking to occupational health providers to find out what their problems were when they were trying to promote their businesses. And lastly, I've been working with for about 5 years now with a medical device startup. And that's been, again, loads of user engagement right from the beginning before we had any kind of device and working with that user panel right through to clinical trials that we're now doing. So yeah, you might think, well, that's not design. But what I'm trying to tell you is design isn't a thing, it's a process. And it's all about empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, testing, and implementing. It's this predictable, repeatable process that you can use in many different contexts. And the beauty of it is, if you have an innovation, which is basically you trying to change to improve something, you've got to address many factors, not just technically feasible or viable from a business point of view, but also desirable to your end users. And it's all about unlocking that potential in your team. Your people that you work with have the insight, you have the knowledge, and design thinking can help you unlock that and really come up with amazing solutions. So I hope you'll go ahead and do it. Thank you.
Much for that, Charlotte. Now, I know you're all thinking, how do I apply design thinking to a problem? And you're looking for a problem to apply design thinking to, aren't you? Well, what if the problem is, what should I talk about at a future Ignite? So you should all think about that. Work out what talk you're going to give at one of the... It doesn't have to be Eurovision themed. Like, I suspect the next Enlight might not be a Eurovision special. I mean, you know, ask Neil, and maybe if you're all asking, you know, there's enough kind of demand, then there will be, but I suspect it'll be, you know, more of the normal Ignite. And we're always looking for people to give talks. You're a really friendly audience, so yeah, put your thinking caps on, work out what you might give a talk about, and let Neil know, and then we can see you up on stage in the future. And with that short ad break out of the way, our last speaker of the first half, and if you can welcome to stage Kate Riley-James, who's going to be telling us about EuroVersion Crashes, the Australian edit.
Good evening, Liverpool. This is Australia calling. Can I have a cheer? I'm Kate Riley-James, and I'm not going to read the whole thing off the paper. It's such a pleasure to be here this evening to represent the land down under. And from the off, can I just say that whilst we might have cut a few corners and continents to get into this competition, you've got to remember we're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get stuck in. That's really blurry. What qualifies me to be able to talk about this and represent 25 million music-loving people? I was born there. And then shortly afterwards, I was ripped from the shores of Bondi Beach and transported 10,000 miles to Sydney, from Sydney to Belvale. And I've been here ever since. Technically. So yeah, I've not been home since 2001, oh my God, due to go home. And it's been quite a struggle to stay close to my Aussie roots, what with Neighbours being cancelled and the loss of Olivia Newton-John. But yeah, we did quite well at it though. We've only been in for 7 years and we've done pretty well. I don't remember the stats, so I am going to have to read that bit. How we got in is with cash, basically. Just loads of cash in 2015. And then since then, we've placed pretty well, ordinarily in the top 10. So I'm not saying that we like totally turned up and did really well and made you guys look bad. But the bottle bag was like, we turned up like your Scouse aunties. You've got a bottle bag at a wedding and you know they're not buying any ale all night because that's going under the table. That's what we represent. Montaigne failed to qualify in 2021, which is the worst result that we had so far. This chick dressed up as Elsa and won the Disney votes that year. Work smarter, not harder. And then Sheldon Riley brought it back for us in a top 10 finish. And then they're going to hand over the baton to Voyager, who are representing Australia in Liverpool next week. I reckon thank you. I reckon we've got a shot, you know. We took a lot of boxes from the stats earlier on, wherever our guy is. And quite progressive lyrics. The guy's quite fit. You know, I feel as if we've got a bit of a shot. We're ticking a lot of boxes, and it's really catchy. It's got a bit of kind of, what's the right word? A bit of kind of boy band going on, so I reckon you'll probably get involved. You need us in this. This is our last one. This is our 7th year. Our time is up. We lent you Olivia Newton-John. She's ours. And you put her in a 90, and the song was called Let Love Live. I mean, come on. It's a living room wall sticker at best. And she was up against ABBA. Gina G is one of ours. Bet you didn't know that. Did you know the dress was made for Cher? I mean, the glitz and the glamour. These pair of clowns on the next slide haven't actually won Eurovision, but you do not underestimate how massive they are in Australia. They did a 3-city tour the year after they were in Eurovision, and it sold out. So, yeah, you don't have to be particularly good to do quite well in Australia. Brings us to now, as I say, this is our last one, and as things currently stand as of today, because I'm watching it every single day, the EBU and SBS, which is the broadcasting agency in Australia, haven't agreed a deal for what happens next. I kind of think we're hoping we're going to win it. So, this is why you need us. Look, we're sexy, and we're clever, and we're artistic, and we're creative, and there are activists and athletes and Margot Robbie, and, you know, look at the spread. That's one thing we've all got in common. We love a good spread. Grubs, bit of Vegemite, fairy bread, rots your teeth. I mean, there's a shrimp on the Barbie. Look. I'm not done. I mean, you wouldn't want a warm beer, would you? You know, we've literally ticked all the boxes. Does anybody else remember Castlemaine 4X? I can see the pub from here. Yes, it's not just me. So, you know, we buy into all of that Britishness. It goes off in Australia. I've not been home, like I said, since 2001. We actually started showing EuroVision the year after I was born in 1983, and there are always do's on all the time. So we get right into the drag, all the family-friendly parties and stuff as well. This is not an accurate representation of how many parties are going on at EuroVision. Might have guessed it a little bit. Probably more so in this area. But, you know, it's probably not far off. Liverpool doesn't need you, it needs Australia!
Have you ever been alone too much? Have you ever break from human touch? Have you ever just lost a little part of you? Find a little something new. Cross my heart till the sky turns red at the sunrise. Since you told me everything's alright,
Thank you very much for that, Kate. Did you see our no expenses spared special effects just then? Aren't they awesome? Right, so that brings us to the end of the first half. So you can all get yourselves a drink, have a chat to your neighbour, talk about which EuroVision entry you think is best, or what things from the talks you thought most interesting, work out what your talk's going to be about, so you can come and tell us about that to book in for the next one. And if you've got any 1-minute pitches, come and find me, and then we can get you up at the start of the second half. I'll be back on stage in about 20 minutes, so see you then.
Вона напевне знала, може більше і від сола. Вона ломаними дорогами прийду, я завжди до тебе. Вона не розбудить, не будить, мене в сильній бурі забере бабулі, дві тулі, ніби вони кулі. Дуже добре знала мене, не була обманута, як було дуже втомлена, гойдала мене так.
Hello, everybody. Don't worry, this isn't the end. It hasn't been a really fast 20 minutes. Neil's just reminded me that I forgot to tell you something. So at the very end, we're having a bonus Ignite karaoke round, which we've done a couple of times before. So basically, Neil's taken 20 random slides from previous Ignite talks and stitched them all together into a new Ignite talk, which will be rather, weird and interesting, but we need somebody to present it. So we're looking for volunteers. Anybody wants to come up and just try and kind of busk through a talk without having seen it before. It's good fun. You need to just pick some topic that you're going to make it about that. It's a good laugh. So if you want to give the Ignite, if you're up for giving the Ignite karaoke talk, come and find me or make yourself known at the back, because that would be awesome. So thank you very much.
Every day we started fighting. Every night we fell in love. No one else could make me sadder, but no one else could lift me high above. I don't know what I was doing when suddenly we fell apart. Nowadays I cannot find her, but when I do, we'll get a brand new start. I'm in love with a fairy tale, even though it hurts. 'Cause I don't care if I lose my mind, I'm already cursed. She's a fairy tale, yeah. Even though it hurts, 'cause I don't care if I lose my mind, I'm already cursed. Loro non sanno di che parlo, vestiti sporchi fra di fango, giallo di siga fra le dita, io con la siga camminando. Scusami ma ci credo tanto, che posso fare questo salto, e anche se la strada è in salita, per questo ora mi sto allenando. E buonasera signore e signori, fuori gli attori, vi conviene toccarvi i coglioni, vi conviene stare zitti e buoni, qui la gente è strana tipo spacciatori. Troppe notti stavo chiuso fuori, mo li prendo a calci sti portoni, sguardo in alto tipo scalatori, quindi scusa mamma se sto sempre fuori, ma sono fuori di testa, ma diverso da loro, e tu sei fuori di testa, ma diversa da loro, siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro, siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro, no. Io ho scritto pagine e pagine, ho visto sale poi lacrime, questi uomini in macchine, non scalare le rapide, scritto sopra una lapide, in casa mia non c'è Dio, ma se trovi il senso del tempo risalirai dal tuo oblio, e non c'è vento che fermi la naturale potenza, dal punto giusto di vista del vento senti l'ebbrezza, con una lincera alla schiena ricercherò quell'altezza, se puoi fermarmi di testa prova a tagliarmi la testa, perché sono fuori di testa, ma diverso da loro, e tu sei fuori di testa, ma diversa da loro, siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro, siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro. fuori di testa, ma diversa da loro. E tu sei fuori di testa, ma diversa da loro. Siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro. E siamo fuori di testa, ma diversi da loro. Noi siamo diversi da loro.
Look at me, I'm a beautiful creature. I don't care about your modern time preacher. Welcome, boys, too much noise, I will teach ya. Pum pum po, pum pum po. Hey, I think you forgot that I play. My teddy bear's running away. The Barbie got something to say. Hey, 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 hey. My summer says leave me alone. I'm taking my Pikachu home. You're stupid just like you're smart. Wonder Woman, don't you ever forget. You're divine and he's about to regret. He's a buck up, I'm not your toy, not your toy. You stupid boy, stupid boy. I'll take you down now, make you watch me. Dancing with my dolls on the motherfucker beat. Not your I need a boo bot, don't you go on the peg, and I'm eating a button. I need a boo bot, don't you go on the peg, shit. Wedding bells ring, ring. Money man bling, bling. I don't care about your stuff, baby. Pum pum po, rum pum po. Wonder Woman, don't you ever forget. You're divine and he's about to regret. He's a buck up, I'm not your toy, not your toy. You stupid boy, stupid boy. I'll take you down now, make you watch me. Dancing with my dolls on the motherfucker beat. Not your toy, not your toy. You stupid boy, stupid boy. I'll take you don't wanna be loved. Baby, not gonna take my wild chance. Baby, no freedom ever. Baby, I'm wild dancing. I went everywhere for you. I even did my hair for you. I bought new underwear, they blue, and I wore 'em just the other day. Love, you know I'll fight for you. I left on the porch light for you. Whether you are sweet or cruel, I'm gonna love you either way. Love, oh love, I gotta tell you how I feel about you, 'cause I can go a minute without your love. Like a satellite, I'm in orbit all the way around you, and I would fall out into the night. Can't go a minute without your love. Love, I got it bad for you. I saved the best I have for you. You sometimes make me sad and blue. Wouldn't have it any other way. Love, my aim is straight and true. Cupid's arrow is just for you. I even painted my toenails for you. I did it just the other day. Love, oh love, I gotta tell you how I feel about you, 'cause I can go a minute without your love. Like a satellite, I'm in orbit all the way around you, and I would fall out into the night. Can go a minute without your love. Oh love, I gotta tell you how I feel about you, 'cause I can go a minute without your love. Where you go, I follow. You set the pace, we take it faster, so I'll follow in your wake. You got me, a force more powerful than gravity. It's physics, there's no escape. Love, my aim is straight and true. Cupid's arrow's just for you. I even painted my toenails for you. I did it just the other day. Love, oh love, I gotta tell you how I feel about you, 'cause I can go a minute without your love. Like a satellite, I'm in orbit all the way around you, and I would fall out into the night. Can go a minute without your love. Oh love, I gotta tell you how I feel about you, 'cause I can go a minute Vous allez peut-être trouver de nouvelles musiques. Vous, donnez-moi ma chance. Je veux chanter, moi aussi. Ne partez pas sans moi, laissez-moi vous suivre. Vous qui volez vers d'autres villes, laissez-moi vivre. Le bleu de l'infini, la joie d'être libre. Sur des rayons, sur des soleils, sur des chansons, sur des merveilles, dans un ciel d'amour. Le bleu de l'infini, la joie d'être libre. Vous qui cherchez une autre vie, vous qui volez vers l'ennemi, ne partez pas sans moi.
Don't tell the gods I left a mess. I can't undo what has been done. Let's run for cover. What if I'm the only hero left? You better fire off your gun once and forever. He said go dry your eyes and live your life like there is no tomorrow, son. And tell the others to go singing like a hummingbird, the greatest anthem ever heard. We are the heroes of our time, but we're dancing with the demons in our minds. We are the heroes of our time, heroes. But we're dancing with the demons in our minds, heroes. We are the heroes of our time, heroes. Dancing with the demons in our minds, heroes. The crickets sing a song for you. Don't say a word, don't make a sound. It's life's creation. I'll make worms turn into butterflies, wake up and turn this world around in appreciation. He said, I've never left your side when you were lost. I'll follow right behind. Was your foundation? Now go singing like a hummingbird, greatest anthem ever heard. Now sing again. We are the heroes of our time, heroes. Dancing with the demons in our minds, heroes. We are the heroes. Keep dancing with the demons. You could be our hero. Sing it like a hummingbird, the greatest anthem ever heard. Now sing together. We are the heroes of our time, heroes. Dancing with the demons in our minds, heroes. We are the heroes of our time, heroes. Dancing with the demons in our minds, heroes. We are the heroes.
A 5-minute warning. We're just going to get started in 5 minutes, so grab a drink, get yourself settled down, and then we'll get the second half underway.
Con te, così lontano e diverso. Con te, amico che credevo perso. Io e te, sotto lo stesso sole. Insieme, unite, unite, Europe. E per te, donna senza frontiere. Per te, sotto le stesse bandiere. Io e te, sotto lo stesso cielo, insieme, unite, unite, Europe. Sempre più liberi noi, non è più un sogno e non sei più da solo, sempre più in alto noi, dammi una mano che prendiamo il volo. L'Europa non è lontana, c'è una canzone italiana per voi, insieme, unite, unite, Europe. E noi, nel cielo 1000 violini. Per noi, amori senza confini. Io e te, sotto gli stessi ideali. Insieme, unite, unite, Europe. Sempre più liberi noi, non è più un sogno e noi non siamo più soli, sempre più uniti noi, dammi una mano e vedrai che voli. L'Europa non è lontana, c'è una canzone italiana per voi, insieme, unite, unite, Europe. Sempre più liberi noi, sempre più liberi, tre stelle una bandiera sola, sempre più forti noi, sempre più forti, dammi una mano e vedrai si vola. L'Europa non è lontana, c'è una canzone italiana per voi, insieme, unite, unite, Europe. L'Europa non è lontana, c'è una canzone italiana per voi, insieme, unite, unite, Europe.
The sky's red tonight. We're on the edge tonight. No shooting star to guide us. Eye for an eye. Why tear each other apart? Please tell me why. Why do we make it so hard? Look at us now. We So come and face me now, here on the stage tonight. Let's leave the past behind us. Eye for an eye, why tear each other apart? Please tell me why. Why do we make it so hard? Look at us now, we only got ourselves to blame. It's such a shame. Tell me, how many times can we win and lose? How many times can we break the rules between us? Only teardrops. How many times do we have to fight? How many times do we get it right between us? Only teardrops. What's come between us? What's come between us? Only teardrops. What's come between us? What's come between us? How many times can we win and lose? How many times can we break the rules between us? Only teardrops. How many times do we have to fight? How many times do we get it right between us? Only teardrops. Only teardrops.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of the EuroVersion Ignite special. And up first, we've got some 1-minute pitches. So if you can welcome back to the stage, the glamorous Neil.
Good, thank you very much. Sorry for the delay in getting the 1-minute pitches. Okay, this 1-minute pitch is for Lydia sitting down the back there. This is not for me. This is about raising money for Shared Lives, which is an organisation that Lydia works for, which does a lot of good work as a charity. So Lydia's doing fun runs, not fun runs. They don't sound very much like a great deal of fun anyway. She's already done 2 times 10K, whatever that means. She's already done 1 half marathon. She's going to, supposedly according to this, she's going to do she's going to do 6 10Ks coming up. One of those is this weekend, I think. And then she's got another 2 half marathons to do. And some and some 5Ks. They're just like minor 5Ks, just because they mean nothing. But anyway, yeah, you do that in the afternoon. Anyway, Lydia is going to tweet the link to the GoFundMe page or Go Sponsor Me page from the Ignite Liverpool Twitter account, if you can have a look at that. And that's it. That's to raise money for Shared Lives. Well done, Lydia.
Thanks, Neil. And next up is Mike talking about Jelly Liverpool.
So, you're stuck at home, working from home, hybrid working, freelancing, self-employed, and you're fed up with it? Well, you can get out the house and join us at Jelly Liverpool. So it says here that Jelly is an informal get-together, providing opportunities to meet other people, to collaborate with, bounce ideas off, or simply to talk about your new project or idea. And what we do is every Thursday we get together at a different co-working space around the city. We currently go to the new Novotel on Paddington. We go to Amazing Does Liverpool. We go to the Liverpool Science Park next to the Catholic Cathedral. And we go to Clockwise at the Albert Dock. And it's a very informal get-together. You bring your laptop, get on the Wi-Fi, we have some coffee, have a chat, have a silly time, and then you can see which co-working spaces you like. Maybe you'll want to go there regularly. But in any event, it beats staying at home every single day, and you meet some interesting people like us.
Thanks for that, Mike. And next up is Paul talking about clean air and Liverpool.
Oh, that sounds so positive, doesn't it, clean air? I'm afraid I'm going to bring down the mood by talking about dirty air. So air pollution, I'm sad to say, in the UK kills between 28 and 36,000 people, which is 16 to 20 times more than road accidents. So it's kind of like the silent killer. You know, road accidents are really visible, air pollution's not. The whole of Liverpool, all of it, not just the middle, exceed several World Health Organization limits for different types of pollution. And in fact, the entire city is an air quality management area, which is kind of like special measures, but for cities, or for air quality. There are 150 schools in our Liverpool's 8 Council region. We analysed the air pollution data and found that all 150 exceed 3 World Health Organization limits, which means that literally if you have a child in Liverpool, you are stunting their lungs. I have one, she's over there. We are stunting her lungs by the fact that she is growing up in Liverpool and going to school in Liverpool. So what to do? It's complicated. I'm not pretending I have all the answers. This is a system problem. We need to solve this at local government level and national government level as well, to be honest. The people who hopefully have some of the answers are the people that we are all going to be electing tomorrow. It's a local election tomorrow. You're all going to vote, aren't you? Don't forget to bring your ID. So what I'm asking you to do is to ask them just what they think. What do they think about air pollution? What are they planning to do? Get some answers. You can do this really easily at a very simple website called cleanairliverpool.org. If you open it on your phone, put your postcode in, you'll see a personal, like a model-based estimate of the pollution at your address, which is a bit terrifying. And then you can very, very easily email the candidates that are standing in your ward. So ask your candidates, follow up with them after the election. Let's talk to our candidates and get it on the election. Thank you very much.
And our last 1-minute pitch is from Tris, who's also going to be talking about photographs.
So quite frankly, I'm pissed off now, because what I was going to do was come up and say, don't forget to take your voter ID to vote tomorrow. Your photo ID, sorry, and he's gone and done it. That's literally all I was going to say. Public service announcement, do not forget to take your photo ID to vote tomorrow. However, now as I've got 45 seconds spare, a couple of Ignites ago, I forced you to log on to 100 Ideas for the North. And as a result of all those ideas, we've released the first chapter, which is this book, 50 Ideas for the North. So if you did log on and you did submit, come and have a word with me and Patrick at the back and collect your copy. Right? There you go. Thank you. Thank you. And while we're talking about voting, Nastia Suame, which basically means vote finish in Finnish. Yay!
Excellent. So that's all of the 1-minute pitches out of the way. And we can get back to those lengthy 5-minute talks. And our first speaker for the second half is Kath Holland, who's going to be telling us about something about being in the nude. Luckily, Neil didn't take inspiration from that for his costume. But yeah, if you welcome to the stage, Kath Holland.
There will be no nudity tonight. Not in this room, anyway. Nudi Cohen was a Ukrainian refugee. He moved to the US aged 11 in about 1912 or 1913. He was sent by his parents, and he became a tailor to lots of country pop rock stars and lots of film stars as well. And his ethos was lots and lots of colour. I thought I was very colourful tonight. This is colourable for me. But Nudi Cohen, he designed these amazing suits that were rhinestones, embroidered with lots of glitter. And his ethos was very much that an entertainer should be very, very separate and distinct from the audience. And he initially started off designing underwear for showgirls. So he literally designed like glittery G-strings with his wife, Bobby. And this nude cowgirl, that was designed on his lovely wife, Bobby. He would design outfits for people like Hank Williams, who would come from very, very modest backgrounds. And to buy a nudie suit, and especially a custom-made nudie suit,
would be a status symbol, a sign that, look, we've made it. And Elvis is absolutely an example of that. He paid $10,000 for that suit, even though it only cost Nudie $500 to make. And I do Phil Oakes, I love the way Phil Oakes divided himself from his audience by having an Elvis suit and playing Elvis covers, because Phil Oakes was a singer-songwriter, journalistic songwriter, and he really pissed his audience off at Carnegie Hall by doing Elvis covers in a nudie suit. A lot of people think the white jumpsuits are sort of comedic in a 2023 lens, but in fact Elvis would wear these suits so that no matter where, if you're in the cheap seats in an auditorium, you can make him out and be part of the experience. Graham Parsons had possibly the finest nudie suit of all time. He got it made by Nudie for the Flying Burrito Brothers' Gilded Palace of Sin album in 1969, and it had his inspirations on it. So basically it had a nude lady with huge knockers, marijuana leaves, poppy flowers. On the arms, he had pills embroidered in, and on the back there was a massive cross, because he's a good old Southern boy. And I love the fact he made the rest of the Flying Burrito Brothers wear nudie suits, and how uncomfortable do they look? They are so... But I just love the press photos that go with it. The wonderful Emmylou Harris, who was Graham's singing partner for many years. Nudie, this shows the other end of Nudie's design skills. Very nice pale pink cowgirl outfit, which is still very distinct. Now, this is what we call a Eurovision outfit, ladies and gentlemen. Dolly Parton showing her assets via the medium of nudie. Because I do think that a lot of the glitz and the rhinestones and the glamour, very, very... there is a connection there, but obviously between the Eurovision. Johnny Cash, yeah, very much the man in black, yes indeed, but he favoured nudie. And a lot of his designs, they were black, but they would have this detail, this very distinct bright detail that you can see there. Also, nudie dressed a lot of film stars. He customised cars as well, and boots and buckles and all sorts. Imagine if you saw a Nudie Cohen car coming down the road, you'd jolly well notice it, and no mistake. Manuel Cuevas was Nudie's protege and became his business partner later. John Lennon was a big fan, and also that's a picture of Manuel just about 5 years ago in Liverpool city centre. Lots of contemporary artists carry on that sort of glitzy, nudie look. So Brandon Flowers from The Killers is a big fan. Also Taylor Swift and Harry Styles, very much that very colourful outfit. Who's next? Yes, I hadn't thought that's the other end of the nudie suit influence. He's a good boy. He doesn't have tits on his suits. But that's very reminiscent of Graham Parsons. Very reminiscent of Graham Parsons' suit, but a lot more sort of subtle and understated. Yeah, so I believe a lot of the Eurovision outfits, for example, Sam Ryder, who was second in the Eurovision last year, I think his suit that he wore last year, yes, he said it was based on David Bowie's spacesuit, but if you look very closely at it, you can see it's very Eurovision. It's got all the rhinestones, it's got the glitz and the glamour, and the sort of like pomposity as well. So I argue that all pop stars, especially ones in Eurovision, should go nudie. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Kath. I'm feeling really like I should have made more of an effort. So suits are awesome. And somebody who has made an effort and put me to shame is our next speaker, Andrea Koo, who's going to be telling us about Honey Nut Cheerios. Welcome to the stage, Andrea.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Andrea Koo. I've done talks about bees here before. And there was a lot of interest, I think, of the male honeybee. So this is called Honey Nut Cheerio. And it's the plight of the male honeybee. So you'll find out why I've called it Honey Nut Cheerio. So firstly, honeybees, 3 casts in a hive, queen, drone, and worker. Oh, it's cut off at the bottom there. They've come from ants, that have come from termites, and bees and wasps are kind of cousins that have come off that line. So drones are the male bees. They've got really good antenna, massive big eyes, big, massive buff bodies, and a flat bum, because he's got no stinger. And he's twice the size of the workers, which are his sisters. He's quite lazy as he develops, because when the queen lays the egg, he takes a bit longer than the workers, and 8 days longer than the queen. So he's he's very active all the way through spring and summer. So that's a nice little picture of him there. And the drone's purpose is to mate with a virgin queen. So he doesn't work, doesn't know how to work, doesn't come into his sphere of being. So his kind of aim is to continue the queen's bloodline. And just a bit of DNA stuff. The female bees have 32 chromosomes. Drones only have 16. He only has the queen's DNA, so he's like a sort of clone of the queen. So he's the one that is kind of treated like a king bee all the way through summer, because the workers know he's the one that's got to pass on their bloodline. So they groom him, they feed him, they look after him, because he doesn't know how to do any of that. And sometimes they take his poo and wee away from him, take it outside if he doesn't want to go outside. So when drones are looking for virgin queens, they go to places called drone congregation zones. And you find them, it's like all the men hanging out looking for virgin queens. And they prefer to be local. They don't want to go too far. So my bees in Toxteth prefer to be around Toxteth. They don't want to go around Bootle or anywhere too far away. So DCZs are found, kind of Sefton Park would be a good one actually, or Printers Park. There's a good tree line there, and there's sort of motorways, so if there's not any virgin queens around, they'll go down the road and they'll look for another one. Drones have got these massive eyes, so they've got excellent eyesight. And they sniff in the queens out. The queens give out this like really nice sort of scent for them, so they can sniff those out. And basically what happens is the queen will mate with a drone, and my thing flew off, so his penis would fly off right up into the queen like that. That is my Bucks Fizz EuroVersion link there. Thank you. I'm glad there's old people old enough here to know that. That's a drone's penis. I just thought you'd like to see that, really. So it's usually inverted into his body, but when it comes out, it shoots out at force into the virgin queen, but she mates with up to 20 drones. So the next drone will come along, and his bits from the previous drone are still in there, so he'll take them out, and then he'll do the next deed in there. And then he'll die, bits are stuck in the queen, and he drops dead, literally out the sky. That's his purpose. But the ones that are unsuccessful, they fly back to the hive, and it's like, oh, I'm really tired. I've just via a pit stop, I'll just have a little nap on a flower, on a petal or something, before I go back into the hive. So when he does go back into the hive, the workers are like, oh, come here, let me fix your wings, let me fix your hair, let you know what's wrong with you. So they go out up to 4 times looking for virgin queens, and if they continue to be unsuccessful, the workers kind of, they do away with that. So he keeps trying all the way through summer, looking for the virgin queens. Maybe he's too slow, maybe he can't see properly, he doesn't see them. Usually he's not strong enough, he just can't find them. There's other stronger ones out there that can find them. And as summer goes on, so in the height of summer, he's treated like king bee. As it goes on, he's treated like prince bee. Then he's treated about 100th in line to the throne. Then he's finally treated like an Everton fan in the Kop. So it's like, they don't want him. They don't want him in there. So they drag him out, this is in September time, snap his antenna, chew his wings off, break his legs, throw him out the hive, and then the wasps come along, they're hungry, and they behead him and eat him. And so next he's dead, and then as the season goes on, no drones in the hive, all females through winter, until spring. Now we've got more drones, and the cycle goes on. So just a nice picture really there, a bit of beekeeping. So that's me. Thank you.
So who knew that Sefton Park was like Concert Square? It's cool. Thank you for that, Andrea. And our next speaker is Andrea. Let me just adjust this a little bit. Get it sorted. There we go. You can hear me now, I hope. Yeah, our next speaker is Andrew Donnelly, and he's going to be talking about Euro branding. Welcome, Andrew, to the stage.
Thank you. Can I take it out of there?
Yeah.
Hello. This isn't my fault. That's okay. So, as a city that's more famously known for reds and blues, everyone can't help but notice we've become yellow for Eurovision. So I thought it'd be interesting, as we're all familiar with that now, to look back over a couple of decades and take a dozen or so examples. Since 2002, each host country of the contest has devised its own unique theme and brand for the event, with varying degrees of creative ingenuity and success. Some of it was horrible. So these are, a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about has been taken from official documentation for Eurovision, like programs and things. So I'm going to paraphrase from all sorts of different languages. And so some of the language is a bit clunky, but it's to give you an insight of all of these different examples, or a dozen of them. So in 2005, the Ukraine said that each year Europe unites for a song extravaganza where countries share a unique fiery bloom. As Ukrainian legend goes, beautiful fluorescent ferns and open up like fire, and that was the theme of Awakening. When Greece did it in 2006, they used this stylized Phaistos disc, which was combined with musical waves, and the colors were representative of beaches and green for nature. As you can see, a lot of bollocks with all of this stuff, but you know, that's what designers do. When Germany did it in 2011 with Feel Your Heartbeat, the contest had transcended political and cultural boundaries, and more than half a century, participants speak 36 languages, but all share the universal language of music. And it was Feel Your Heartbeat. Sweden used a butterfly to represent coming together in happiness with music and good times, whether it was people you love now or people you've never met in a room, town square, arena, or from the comfort of your sofa. What that's got to do with a butterfly, I don't know. When Denmark did it in 2014, their aim was to bring Europeans together during Eurovision Week, creating insights into each other's lives and cultures with a welcoming atmosphere and environment, both in front of the TV and the country's host city. It was all about joining us, #join us. For Austria in 2015, the graphic visually represented the slogan, depicting constantly forming relationships that allowed for new encounters. I'm running out of breath here, but you can read it on the screen. It was about building bridges. And Ukraine, again, they have won quite a few times. Their theme in 2017 was to reflect the contest's inclusive values and celebrate the commonalities and unique differences, and celebrate diversity, which is such a huge part of Eurovision. When Portugal did it in 2018, they came up with a very cartoon-like logo that was very different, that was sort of representing their kind of nautical history. And that worked really well. In fact, they liked their logo so much that they actually had 12 logos that year, which sort of worked. I was at Eurovision that year, and it was great because you could just see all of these different designs. It was a bit Pokemon-y. People would buy 12 T-shirts rather than one. When Israel did it in 2019, they really spoke a load of bollocks about triangles, found in art, cosmology, and nature, representing connection and creativity and intersecting to form a single, blah, 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 blah. Dare to dream. And this is the most complex one for the Netherlands. The logo evolved from the previous one, where each segment is made up of two colors from the flag of each participating country, and its position was determined by the angle and distance from Rotterdam. See, this clever designers, these. And last year's Italy was the ornate typeface was a reference to Italian design. You probably can't see it there, but the Italian flag was very, very watered down, so there's very subtle red and green in there. But it all got a bit lost in a kind of muddy mess, really, which brings us to a nicer design for this year, which is called... Come on. We all know what it's called this year? United by Music. So the multi-heart symbol was inspired by research that showed that live music can cause hearts to synchronize and beat in unison. The hearts form a sound wave capturing the universal spirit of the contest. United by Music demonstrates the unique partnership between the Ukraine and the host city, Liverpool, to bring the 23 contest to a global audience and the power of music to unite communities. But behind that, the typeface itself is called Penny Lane. And that was it. That was inspired by Liverpool's iron-cast street signs. It was also a typeface that was used on sort of Mersey-beat graphics from the 60s. So there's a lot of sort of theory behind the design. So thank you very much, and spasiba.
Thank you very much for that, Andrew. And you may have noticed that we've been united by music at the end of each of the talks. Dan, who does all of the kind of sliders at the back, it's a technical term, picks music that kind of ties into each one. And of course, tonight, all of them have been EuroVersion themed. Well done, Dan. And that brings us to our next speaker, who is Anthony Wong, and he's going to be telling us about the magical hug. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Hello. Can you see that? This is my magical hug. If you've ever stumbled on one, drape yourself in it because it feels fantastic. It's part of an exhibition, Unity, at the Blue Coat Display Centre, which is on until June. I always say squeeze when I see this photo. The exhibition title, Unity, came from a piece to express all-encompassing inclusion and the EuroVersion vibe. I concluded that a hug is universal, showing love and igniting the deep bond. This is actually the second design. Don't ever be afraid to make work and throw it away. It doesn't work, throw it away. Here are the first intrepid but happy wearers. Proud as punch. Chunky said, impossible not to smile while wearing it. Your cares drain away with the feeling of being held and loved. Everyone should have one for moments of stress and distress. Janet said, it's comforting and warm like a weighted blanket for babies. And here's the stage. I was reassured to learn that the EuroVersion stage design by Julio Humedi is based on an expansive hug. I'd already done the design and then learned that fact. Woo! So the keys open. Oxytocin, the love hormone, is immediately unlocked when we hug, giving that warm, fuzzy feeling. It lowers your cholesterol, de-escalates cortisol, and COVID lockdown brought us 14 months of no hugging. EuroVersion is a broad-spectrum multimedia extravaganza. It's got the same ingredients as a huge hug. Energy spilling out in the music, supported by everything in a totally uplifting experience. Now, not everybody likes hugs from humans. Hugging trees is one of the next best beneficial things to do. Air surrounding us is full of beneficial essential oils. Next page. Here's where I get lost. Do lots of animals hug each other than humans? I was compiling this talk and I was suitably advised by our Poochie just there. Yes, this is a fact. Introducing Scout, our Betty Whippet. She's very beautiful, nosy, insatiably friendly, can be bought for a treat. just can't stop saying hello to strangers and fans, and gives the absolute best hugs. Now, I don't know whether you know Tiny Chef. He's a wow on Instagram. Check him out. He's a culinary genius and saved few heads in lockdown, including mine. He's got a can-do, inspiring attitude, and is an expert at tree hugging. Further benefits of hugging trees is reducing stress, improves immunity, lowers blood pressure, accelerates recovery from trauma and illness. Chefy again, note the work gloves. These are his trophies, foraging as a gentle pastime that accompanies any tree hugging foray. Here's Chefy totally made up with his collection of favourite hugging cones. Now, the science. Virginia Satir, a global known therapist, claimed we need per day 4 hugs for survival, 8 hugs for maintenance, and 12 for growth. Yeah, what? With a hug and a magical binding develops, promoting physical and psychological reactions. One gene, an artist friend of mine, is vet. We hug animals because we feel like we are protecting them, but they become our protectors and guardians. Exactly which way round is it? Come on, Mr. Wong. Dr. Sumulella researched the duration and frequency, and it takes 21 seconds to gain the benefits. So, EuroVersion, we're back to one shared heartbeat rhythm. Perhaps whilst tugging at some level for a little time, our heartbeats combine and we'll find some mutual rhythm. Here's one of our songbirds at the Blue Coat, a collaborative inflatable art sculpture. This is Emma and Michael, 2 of our great, wonderful EuroVersion volunteers, know each other for only 1 day and started hugging it out. Yep, here's the squeeze again. I thought it was worth a second looking. You can hear the infectious giggles, and this is what life should start and end with each day, don't you agree? Hugs are not as simple as swathing someone in your arms and giving them a squeeze. It seems that a hug contains a generous sprinkle of magic and science, filling a void if needed, or euphorically celebrating that win. Thanks. You've been a great audience.
Thank you very much for that, Anthony. And with that brings us to the final talk, the final normal talk, if we can describe any Ignite talks ever as normal, but the final normal talk of the evening, and then there is still the Ignite karaoke to take place after that. We have had a volunteer. It's going to be good fun. But before that, if you can welcome to the stage Kirsty Stiles, who's going to tell us about EuroVersion and bicycles.
Headliner! How to follow all of that. Right. Hello, Liverpool! My name is Kirsty Stiles. Thank you very much for having me this evening. You are a vision. I am, to my own surprise, here to talk to you about what exactly, or thereabouts, cycling has got to do with EuroVersion. Just to pin my colours to my jersey early, I am the new and first ever lady chairman of the Merseyside Cycling Campaign. I'm a ride leader with the Egworth Community Cycle Club. I'm also a front rider for the Bradbury Fields and Savvy Tandem Club, which meant that I did the Liverpool-Chester 50 miles last year on a tandem with an excellent blind co-pilot called Lynn. So I am quite clearly here to extol the joys of the magic wheel by jamming them into a EuroVersion-shaped hole. Now, you may or may not know that when the current model of bicycle, the safety bicycle, was debuted in the 1890s, almost immediately, men tried to stop women riding them. That was what the actual fuck. They told women that cycling would make you infertile. They said it would make your face stick like that, which I think is the face of pure joy, which no man has ever seen. They even said it would make women more promiscuous. And in fact, they were right, because sociologists now credit cycling with reducing the amount of birth defects in the US and the UK populations at the turn of the last century. Yes, queens! Oh no. Big smiley face there. But mainly it meant that women could get away. Somebody stop her! Rather sadly, today, less than a third of cyclists in the UK and the US are women, almost exactly the same number as 100-odd years ago, despite the fact that we can all participate, oh no, much more fully in miserable capitalism as long as you can vote for whoever you like, a posh, mediocre white man. Excellent. So, the Venn diagram, you're all thinking. The next part of my talk is going to be about what exactly cycling and, oh God, this is going far too fast. So, we're going to talk about which one is going to be the best country ever, according to my really shit metrics, which I'm really sad about there being a Royal Sociological Data man in the room. So, best cycling country, any guesses? Okay, those are all... Okay. Okay, well, we're going to find out in a second, folks. So, some of the best places to cycle are actually in Europe, and we're going to find in a moment which... Hey! Not UK. Okay, so we've got Netherlands, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, Norway, and Finland. Keep those ones in mind, folks, because we're trying to work out from that Venn diagram the best country in the world, okay? So, more spurious data connections. Okay, what's the most gender-equal country in the world? Anyone want to make any guesses? I can't hear you. It's no coincidence that best cycling cities are also very gender-equal. Who's it going to be? Right. Iceland. Finland is still there. Norway is still there. Sweden is still there. We've got New Zealand and Rwanda in there as well. Iceland. I don't know whether you can see where this is going. I certainly can't. The next spurious data metric that I've got is the most happiest. Yes, that is a joke for people that don't like double comparatives. The most happiest countries in the world, according to the World Happiness Report, which has been produced since 2011, are about to come up on the screen. So, Finland! Oh, here we are. Oh, we've got 4 metrics to go through, people. We're on number 3. Finland is doing quite well, consistently good countrying. Netherlands is back in the game. Sweden here as well. So, the only one that we've got left to decide all of this is, obviously, most Eurovisions. Any guesses? Top Eurovision countries. Ukraine is actually a good guess, but is not actually there. Oh, well, you'll see in a moment. Your land, Ireland. Ireland, of course, in at number 1. Sweden, we've seen them a few times. I can see where this is going. Netherlands is back in the game. It was not one of the happiest countries in the world, but it is one of the most Eurovisions. The UK, little sad face there. This is the only one that we appear in, folks. Not happy, not equal, not good for cycling. So, the best country in the world ever. This has been very quick, hasn't it? How do we even decide this? So, did anybody know which one it was? By my metrics, which have decided all of this stuff. So, we've got Finland, 6th best cycling, 2nd most gender equal, 1st happiest. Sweden, 4th best cycling, 5th most gender equal, 6th happiest, 2nd most Eurovision wins. Netherlands, 1st best cycling, 5th happiest, 3rd most Eurovision wins. And by my metrics that I've made up, I'm sorry, the Royal Statistical Society, what are the conclusions? So, where are we? By my standards, Sweden is the best country in the world. It appeared on all of those 4 metrics. Most gender equal, women participating in more things like cycling, and they're happier because of it. Winning the Eurovision, unfortunately, isn't the best determinant of happiness. The UK is 19th, even though we are one of the top Eurovision winners, and our most cheerful friends in Finland were not one of the top Eurovision countries. One thing the research does tell us, just as a little plug, is that the more people cycle, the more children cycle, the more older people cycle, and the more women cycle. And of course, we all learned at the very beginning, the more women who cycle, the more sex we could all be having. So, take that to your policymakers. Tell them I sent you. Happy Eurovision. Here's to the freedom machine. I think that was the message. I'm sorry, that was very quick, wasn't it? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Kirsty. So that's all of the prepared talks we're done with. But there is one remaining talk which Neil has prepared, but Jab has very generously offered to give. This is the Ignite karaoke. So if you haven't seen this before, basically Neil has taken 20 slides at random from previous Ignite talks and stitched them together into a new Ignite presentation. Now, Jab hasn't seen, Neil's the only person who's seen these slides. So who knows what it's going to be about. And Jab's going to be working out and talking us through. Maybe, have you got a title? I don't know. Seems like a perfectly good title. And are we ready to present? We are ready to present. So I give you magic carpet.
Good evening from the Liverpool Cultural Embassy. Wedding crashers, yes. Jelly, have you read the flyer? You've got to read that because it tells you everything about the wedding crashers. They do all sorts of clever things. This guy had emotional damage because he came to my last birthday party. Birthday parties are a very good way to meet people, relatives, and those who break into your perimeter fencing. That's my father. I don't need to tell you anything about him other than I'm a result of that. You're all beautiful, and Billy Joe Gibson was generally the best presentation tonight. Give it out to Billy Joe. I do actually ride a bicycle. I came tonight. I don't know if I will ride home tonight because I'm very drunk. And men are wonderful sometimes, but not always, because a patriarchal society is shit. Sorry to do that downer. What was this one? Oh, yeah, I love that. I want a nudie suit. Who wants a nudie suit? Everybody! We want nudie suits! And not with the booby ladies, but maybe with ponies or some hamsters in there. And I was actually in a poster of the 1960s when I did judo in Surrey, because I am from Surrey. Okay. These guys once appeared on television and really damaged my daughters, so I don't want to say anything more about it. And that's not David Bowie. That isn't David Bowie. That is not David Bowie. But that is David Bowie in the 21st century. He has been possessed by the future. And I don't like Sam, but I love him. And that should be a song that I will write one day when I'm famous. And I'm looking at this and thinking, what the fuck? Oh, I like that person! I do like that person. And it's very traditional and cultural. And everybody wants to look at all these graphic identities. But let's remember, Eurovision is about Ukraine this year. I'm going to bring you all down and feel sad because there's some shit going on. And I'm going to do an artistic intervention. And it's going to look a little bit like that. Because I'm commandeering the bees to go and do something very strange to people's eyebrows throughout the whole of Eurovision, which will be televised and also graphicized. My wife was up here today, and I love her very much because I just love her very much. And I can't say anything more than that. Those are words. Okay, words are fucking important, and words are fucking important. And AI has taken humanity out of the world, hasn't it? We need more humanity back in there. And, that guy, it's a bit weird what's going on behind that apron. Don't look behind the apron. Please don't, because men aren't always wonderful. Who doesn't look at chimps and go, that's my mother, or my father, or my uncle that I don't like? But I did, and the actual fuck for what I just said. If anybody's recording this and putting it out on the internet, I'm sorry to my mother, my father, my uncle. And I must say that all the people have put together this whole thing. And I brought some prepared information here, which was a karaoke sheet, a thing about like lemon jelly, and some anti-British shit, which was, Brexit. Oh, it makes me really sad that we're not really in the EU. And if you want to be back in the EU, please clap. Please clap. Buy more alcohol. That man at the bar with the lovely hair can sell you gorgeous alcohol. And just fucking get off your tits, because that's all we can do now that Boris Johnson's killed us all.
Superb. Thank you very much for that, Jab. Excellent. Well done for such an inspiring talk. To finish things off. So, if we can give a big round of applause to all the speakers we've heard from tonight. They've all been awesome. And if we can thank Dan and Neil and Lydia and Finn for putting it all together and making it such an awesome evening. And now's the point where I asked Neil if we've got a date for the next one. And we haven't, but it'll be in about 3 months, because it always is. Watch all the socials to find out when it's next to me on. Work out what talk you're going to give at the next one or the one after that. We would love to see you all again. As Jab says, you can still get yourselves a drink, talk about what you've seen this evening, and we will see you soon. Thank you very much.